Hello and welcome to another video in my Fundamentals of Orchestration series. In my last video, I introduced the brass family of orchestral instruments, and today I'd like to go into much greater detail on the horn. I'll discuss range, timbre, technique, and idiomatic writing, and I'll be demonstrating the instrument using the Berlin Brass Sample Library from Orchestral Tools. Let's get started. As I already discussed, the precursor to the modern horn in F was the natural horn. But before the natural horn's inclusion into the orchestra, composers during the Renaissance period would sometimes use hunting horns in their operas or stage works to evoke scenes from the countryside or from an actual hunt. Eventually, the use of horns in concert and stage music caught on, and both the natural horn and natural trumpets evolved from the hunting horns of 16th and 17th century Europe. I spent a bit of time discussing the overtone series and the limitations of available natural horn notes in my introduction video, so I won't repeat that here. But just remember that the standard natural horn in C could be tuned lower by adding crooks, which made the horn longer, thus lowering the fundamental pitch. With the horn in C, the following pitches are available, though the intonation on the 7th, 11th, 13th, and 14th partials must be altered through embouchure adjustments or hand-stopping techniques. Additional notes can be achieved by adjusting the hand position inside the bell of the horn, although completely stopping the note with the hand changes the timbre quite a bit, sort of like a mute. If, for instance, a composer wanted to write music in D major, they could ask for horn in D, and the player would grab the horn with the D crook, which lowered the fundamental by a minor seventh. Eventually, the horn in F, tuned a fifth lower than notated, became a favorite among instrumentalists and composers. By the time valves were first introduced, the horn in F just so happened to be the preferred horn, and so the valved horn in F, a completely chromatic instrument, became the standard horn we use. And in fact, the modern horn in F is actually known as a double horn, as it contains the set of tubings for both F and B flat, which allows for a greater overall range. The double horn has a total of 4 valves, the fourth being a trigger valve that switches between F and B flat tubing. There are also descant horns which have an upper octave F or E flat tubing, and the triple horn, which has a 5th valve combining the descant horn and the double horn. Most horns use rotary valves, although some older horns use piston valves, and the Vienna horn is a unique type that uses double piston valves. The modern orchestral horn is tuned in F, and its range is roughly from concert D flat 2 to concert F 5. It is written up a fifth from sounding pitch, so the written range is roughly from A flat at the bottom of the bass clef staff to the C above the treble clef staff. Experienced low horn players can go a bit lower, roughly down to the concert B flat, or written F below the bass clef staff, but anything below the bass clef staff is more difficult. Most horn parts are written in treble clef, however, it's common to see low horn music written in bass clef. With such a wide playable range, there are of course differences in timbre throughout the range. Notes written on the bass clef staff tend to be much darker and less controlled. It's more difficult to play faster or more agile down in this range. Roughly the next half octave, up until written C, is still dark in timbre, but much more focused and controlled. Notes written within the treble clef staff are a bit brighter and more majestic in timbre. This is commonly where the more lyrical solo and tutti horn melodies will be found, as the brighter timbre more easily cuts through the orchestra. As you get higher, the timbre becomes more brilliant, but is more straining on the player. It's best to limit the amount of music in this range, as the player will likely be quick to tire. With brass in general, it's also a good idea to give the players a rest after any passage that extends into the instrument's highest register. It's also recommended that the notes in this range be approached carefully, preferably by step or by short interval. And of course, playing softly in this range is extremely difficult. Many orchestral horn passages take advantage of the larger range of the instrument, as well as the various playing techniques like staccatos, trills, marcatos, and double or triple tonguing. Stopped horn is a commonly used horn technique as well, offering a slightly buzzier, more nasal timbre. Stopped notes are indicated with the plus sign above the note. In passages that use both stopped and open notes, you'll need to indicate both, using plus for stopped and a circle for open. Extended techniques like rips, glissandi, flutter tongue, bends, and multiphonics are also possible, but obviously more difficult. A quick note about horn ensemble notation. Because the range of the horn is quite large, throughout the history of orchestral horn writing, it was customary to have horn players either specialize in low horn or high horn. Oftentimes, they would even use different mouthpieces to better handle the intricacies of either the high or low registers. Nowadays, most professional horn players are capable of the full range, so the tradition of low and high horn parts is less important, though not completely eliminated. As the typical horn section in the modern orchestra consists of 4 players, it's customary to see the parts divided from high to low. There are many scores where horn 1 and horn 3 are high horn parts, and 2 and 4 are low horn parts, and the score might look something like this, condensed down to 2 full staves. However, many modern composers have favored ordering horns 1 through 4 from high to low. In other words, horn 1 would get the top notes in a 4-note chord, then horn 2, then horn 3, and then horn 4 on the lowest notes. To make the score more readable, it makes sense to join horn 1 and 3 on a staff, and 2 and 4 on a staff, as shown here. So that's all that I want to cover in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next, I'll be looking at the trumpets, and after that, the low brass. Please like this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. See you next time.